Thank you so much for still being with us on Breakfast Weekend this morning. In most parts of Africa, suicide is often regarded as an abomination. The person who commits suicide is not seen as a normal person. There's always something wrong. By the time you check deeply, something is wrong somewhere. And so, as the world and the people are advancing, and this is becoming a trend, people are paying more and more attention to what the psyche of a suicidal person is, whoever attempts or even someone who succeeds at taking his or her own life. Now, when you take away the people who are much older and you're looking at undergraduates because of one pressure or the other, because of secondary school, you're looking at secondary school students because of one heartbreak or somebody insulted them and they decide to take their life, taking bleach, using poison, whatever, to take their own life, or at least to attempt it, you begin to wonder, where did we get it wrong? So today on Breakfast Weekend, we'll be taking a very, very critical look at not just what is the immediate cause of suicide, especially among undergraduates. We'll be taking a look at what are those deeply rooted values that are missing among our people. This morning, talking with us on the topic, we have Dr. Olugbemi Olukolade, a psychologist, and a public affairs analyst, Mr. Dapo Olasode. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to have you. A graduate, someone who's in school, decides to commit suicide. Secondary school student who failed JAM, for example, decides this life is not worth it if I cannot have 300 at least in JAM. What is that person's frame of mind like?
Usually, when someone commits suicide, it's the same thing whether it's an adult, a child, an adolescent that's committing suicide. Why? Is that it's the way of thinking that makes us to commit suicide. It's what's happening in our head. And it's when we look at suicide, we say that suicide is oftentimes a coping mechanism. Is the coping mechanism that an individual has to cope with what that person is going through. Now, in adults, when people who are elderly commit suicide, is the coping mechanism that they have at that point in time. And so, for clinical psychologists who say that is the result of a failed coping mechanism. So it's the only way that an individual sees as the way out of a situation.
Younger people have this innocence about them. They have this carefree attitude, this happy-go-lucky kind of lifestyle. So normally a child should, well, that's it. We'll try again some other time. It's an adult that will overthink it and overanalyze it. So what's making that young person begin to switch?
Yeah, what makes a young person to start switching? It makes it why, if you check research, it says that people who are adolescents, young people between the age of 12 and 17, has a higher rate of committing suicide, because at that point you see that people are developing the person that they will become in life. It's at that stage that all of us becomes who we are. So we start forming our person, and it's generally believed that adolescence is a tumultuous time, the time that the people start wondering who I am, what's happening to me. We start making friends, we start understanding that I'm different to this person, my family is different, we are not up to this standard. You start looking at yourself, you start giving meaning to things that have happened in the earlier part of our lives. We start giving meaning to the fact that my parents had divorced. It's because of me. Now I try to have a boyfriend, he breaks up with me, I have a problem. Now you start giving meaning to things about that is happening to you. So, and that's why even at that point in time, it's higher for people, for young people to probably become more suicidal.
And from what doctor has said, it means these young ones, there's something missing as far as getting to, he was talking about finding themselves, getting to know who they are. So whose responsibility is it for these young ones to find who they are early enough so that they will not be caught in this web of, even attempting suicide at all?
Actually, thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. When I hear the word suicide, I remember some years back I used to say it's not a Nigerian problem. I couldn't just think of Nigerians killing themselves. It was absurd, but now it's sad. We hear, in fact, about a week or about 10 days ago, somebody very close to where I lived had an issue where he worked and he committed suicide. So, but what I see first and foremost is the absence of hope. It's the absence of, it's the presence of low self-esteem, the absence of faith, and the absence of hope. It's supposed to imbibe these values. I wouldn't say who is not. I won't put it to one person's responsibility. I'll say it's the responsibility of the whole society, and that's why we need to rethink the way we do a lot of things. It's the society, the parents, the teachers, everybody.
Okay.
So what happens most of the time that creates all of these issues is expectations and a sense of a tendency to place our whole self-worth on one achievement. Let me give a critical example. I've heard of parents who, you must study medicine.
Sure.
You just must. As in, they have a car waiting for the guy. I'm talking of somebody I know who he must study medicine. He didn't make it to medicine, he didn't get the car. Wow. You know, you go on Facebook today, you see the way parents celebrate academic achievement. If you have a child, and who knows that the love, his sense is, and you communicate to your child that I love you based on how well you perform in school. If that child has problems academically, it could affect his self-worth because you have communicated to him that your self-worth is tied to your academic achievements.
Okay.
It can lead to suicidal tendencies if it's not taken care of. A good one is the sense of you have to be slim to be a fine girl, to be beautiful. So when plus-size girls, when they are young, they have very serious issues. Some of them get into depression, some of them get into addictions, they get into a lot of things. A good look at our values. We need to take a good look at what we celebrate.
Okay.
You know, when you what we celebrate, what we celebrate in people, we need to look at it very well. There's one that readily comes to mind now. For instance, in the average adolescent, especially when you're leaving secondary school to the higher institution, there are courses that we celebrate. I gained admission medicine. Oh, good boy. I gained admission law. Good boy.
I gained admission Yoruba.
You see the person's social expression. You understand?
Sure.
Then you cross.
You cross later.
So things like that rob people of self-esteem.
What separates, for example, somebody goes through that same issue, you know, probably has F all through their 400 level, for example, first, maybe second semester self, because if it's first semester, you can come back and just quickly go and get out. But it's the second semester, your final semester in school, and you're having F all through, fail, maybe just one C. And another person goes through that same thing, and they're like, well, it's not the end of the world. I can always come back next year. How can we say that these coping mechanisms work from person to person?
And that's why, when I was saying it, I was thinking in my head that sometimes, probably because our environment also, we need a lot of education about our mental health. Because I was looking at it that, as much as I agree with the fact that a lot of time, what parents have talked about, what happens to us, but they are not also that insignificant.
Okay.
Really, they are in some instances. They are not, and that's why the question that he has, that what about the developed world? You know, all this, they don't put that pressure, and yet you see this happening, because even in our own part, you know, there are people. A suicide had been a thing that has been happening even before now in our own part of the world. When parents even don't put this kind of pressure on their children, now what it happens is that as a child starts getting developing in a home, the way, even if all of us we are in a home, the way we are going to be internalizing messages, the same training from our parents are going to be different, because we are different individuals. So that means that the same, if you are in a house that has like 5 siblings, you might discover that the same experience, your elder brother, your junior one will tell you another interpretation, another perception to the same event. telling you that what we pick from each event, every child is different. When a person is from a family that is broken, and the children, which happens in that part of the world, we don't have explanations for our children. We feel that the couple are the only ones that are going through issues, so we leave the children out, and you see the children many times they are blaming themselves because of me. I saw someone yesterday who told me that it was because of me that my dad broke up with my mom when I was aged 3 years old, and I was looking at it. It can't be.
What could you have done?
It can't be. You know, now that tells you, and this person is seeing me 20-something years after the event, and is telling me that, and because we were trying to look at the early life experiences, and telling me that it was because of me that my dad walked away. And I was looking at it that because of you, and that tells you about the things that, you know, just a lot of things can, everything, anything.
Talked about values, you know, gone haywire. Is it corrective? Is it something, for example, the people who are in school now, to avoid it, you know, to keep going on? What can the society do? What can parents do at this time?
You know, I spoke about 3 things. I spoke about hope, then I spoke about faith, and I spoke about self-esteem. And I say, okay, we need to look at some of those things again. No matter what you're going through, if you have hope, you will almost not be suicidal.
But I want to believe that the hope in itself does not just jump on you.
No.
Something has to initiate.
To initiate hope.
How do you initiate?
That's why I speak about faith. In the time gone by, people took their faith, and I'm not speaking about any particular faith now. You understand? Okay. But people took their faith more seriously. I found that one strong harbinger of faith, of hope, is faith. When you can maintain that belief that tomorrow will be better than today, it gives you strength to take on whatever it is that you are facing. The crux of the society. We need to understand that the good life is achievable, but it's also a process. Yeah. One of the things I did early in life that helped me was to read about everybody I felt was living my own picture of the good life. And I found out that at one point or the other, they were at the exact opposite of that. I mean, some months back, it's almost a year now, this guy that fought, this kickboxer that fought a boxer, and made McGregor, yes, thank you, and made a lot of money from him. I was reading this story on Facebook, and I was told that for almost 9 years, he was nobody. All he was just doing was preparing for that. A lot of people, we can talk about a lot of people. So if we in this generation understand that the good life is good. First and foremost, the good life is not money. But the good life is good even if you're thinking money. But it's a process.
What is the good life?
But the good life,
just quickly,
the good life is something that you have to come to understand for yourself. But for me, the good life is impact, positive impact, influence.
All right, we'll have to wrap up there because time is really against us, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. I'm hoping that maybe some other time we would explore this topic deeper. We've been talking with Dr. Olugbemi Olukolade, a psychologist and a public affairs analyst, Mr. Dakbola. So thank you so much for being on the program.